Hello everyone, JayPower here and welcome to a new weekly video series called Mini Guides. This week I will be teaching you a aggressive Protoss against Protoss build. I have been using this build for quite a while now, so I thought it would be a good one to start with. It is basically a 3-gateway pressure build with some adjustments to make it unique and hard for your opponent to reach you. Let's jump into the build order. You begin this build with a very normal 13 gate. You take your first gas at 14 supply, where you will put 3 probes on there as soon as it's done. Second pylon at 16 supply and cyber core at 18 supply. Right after the core you get your second gas. You will also put 3 probes on there as soon as it's complete. You start your first stalker at 21 supply as well as warp gate research. At 24 supply you start your mothership core. Right now your stalker should be about 80% done and you want to start the second gateway. If your scouting probe died, make sure to send one with your stalker. Do not make any pylons yet, this will only slow down the build. As soon as you have the money, you want to start the second stalker. At 29 supply, get your third gateway. You cut probes as soon as you hit 30 supply, even if you lost your scouting probe. We just want to make sure you can fit in 2 more stalkers at 30 supply. Alright, now that we've got the build order down, it's time to go back in time a little bit and focus on what to do with your units. Now after you left your opponent's base with your scouting probe, you have to hide it somewhere, but not too far away. If the map allows it, place it at your opponent's watchtower. This will give you enough time to pull it back to safety if a stalker tries to chase it. As for your first stalker and mothership core, you want to try and find your opponent's probe, but also scout for proxy pylons. Don't spend too much time looking though, you still need to do the pressure. If your opponent is being aggressive, you have to keep your stalkers and your mothership core together. You can't afford to have one of your stalkers or mothership core being picked off. When your opponent is not being aggressive, you send the mothership core towards his main base and your stalkers towards his natural. As soon as you reach your opponent's natural, there are some decisions you have to make. I will talk about that next. The first thing I'm going to talk about is expand builds. So you reach your opponent's natural and you see a nexus on the way. You can usually punish this by throwing down a 4th gateway and pulling 1 probe off of each gas and just kill him right there. But here's where the mothership core comes into play as well. You have to confirm whether it's a safe robo expand or a more risky tech expand, like Twilight Council or Stargate, or even Dark Shrine. When your opponent's nexus finishes, you will fend off your units with the photon overcharge. Make sure you keep an eye out on the ramp and don't have any units trapped inside the photon overcharge range. If it's a safe robo-expand, you can reinforce with zealots and sentries to end the game. If your opponent sacrifices his natural, you can set up a contain and expand yourself. Now if you're dealing with a tech expand, you do the same but also focus on countering the tech. Down below you can find numerous of replays on how to counter the tech. This should cover the expand variations. I will focus on 1-base tech openers now. When you reach your opponent's natural and you don't see a nexus, you throw down the robo right away. If you scout a Twilight Council, you keep it. If it's blink you have to be very careful, you can't engage blink stalkers with normal stalkers. The earliest blink can be done is 7 minutes, so you can save a recall or get out of there in time. If it's Dark Templar, you can take an expand and get an observer. Make sure you don't let your opponent get away with the nexus though. Against a Stargate opener, you can cancel the robo, get a Twilight Council and leave 2 stalkers at home to defend Oracle harassment. I recommend keeping a contain on your opponent with your stalkers while you wait for blink to finish. Now if your opponent goes for one of the builds mentioned earlier, you will be in a very comfortable situation. However, there are builds where you will be in a less comfortable situation. One of them is safe 2-gate robo expand. The best you can make out of the situation is a contain while expanding behind it. But with your opponent's robo, they will be able to drop immortals fast and it will be very hard to hold off, so you have to be careful with that. Another one of them is defensive 3-gate. There's not much to say about that, it's just the same build but defensively. You just have to make sure you don't lose more units than your opponent. When your opponent opens with its 2nd gate before his cyber core is done, it's the safest to just abort the build entirely. This may indicate that your opponent is going for a 3 stalker rush or a 5 stalker rush, and you can't push against that. The only way you can improve with this build is to make sure you get the buildings in time. I included the times of when every building should roughly go down in the build order below. Make sure you study that well and analyze replays to make sure you're doing the build properly. Thanks a lot for watching the first episode of Mini Guides. Make sure to like and share the video if you find it helpful, or leave a comment if you have a question. Don't forget you can find the build order, recent VODs and replays in a link below. You can also find advanced tips to make your play even more refined. Thanks again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Usually it's going to be 2, maybe only 1, but so I'm warping in Zealots over here. Mothership Core should have been there as well for time warps, but he's doing a counterattack over here, and this is what I mean with this wall. I wasn't too sure if it was a full wall, and apparently it wasn't, so this is going to be a bit annoying to deal with. Good thing I forgot my Mothership Core, so I can use the Photon Overcharge to help defend, but he's gonna walk over here. Zealot also kind of missed. I think it should have been a bit more back, so some links do enter the base. But at the same time, I have my Zealots over here as well. This Overlord should have been dead. I'm not sure where my Phoenix are.